I love Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe that little intro made you realize what a fucking loser I am, but I do. I love this game. I love playing all these little weirdos to pretend for a moment that I'm not this little weirdo. But I admit there is one question that has been stuck in my head. What the hell do people really eat? And honestly, what should they be eating? Like, imagine this. You, my friend, you're an elf. You're living a life of luxury, a life that few others know. But it's just too easy for you, isn't it? So you get bored. Of course you get bored. Everything you could ever want is just at your whim. So, with boredom comes this craving, this hunger. And you decide to indulge. So, one fateful night in the dark, when all there is but silence, you decide you want a little fun. So, you follow another elf down into a dark, dark alley. And you set your teeth in him. You eat him, kill him, and eat him. Now, most people, I hope, would realize that this is bad. This is a bad thing. You shouldn't eat other members of your species. That's cannibalism with a capital C. So no. But, and bear with me now, what if we change that elf, that little victim elf that you sick little bastard, wanted to eat so bad? What if we change him with, say, an orc? A big, dumb, ugly, smelly orc. And you, my friend, you just need to know what he tastes like. I'd imagine it tastes like eating leather. Regardless, you decide you want to taste. And so you stick your teeth in him. It's a hard fight, it's an orc after all. But you come out victorious, because why shouldn't you? You're the luxurious elf. Now, how about this? Do we consider this fair game? I don't think so. I mean, after all, you're eating another sentient thing, another sentient being that you can talk to, right? That's the main thing, right? You can hold a conversation with them. It's an intelligent being, well, semi-intelligent as orcs go. But yeah, you can go down the ladder if you wish. Like, how about a giant? How about a kobold? All sentient things. You can all hold a conversation with them. So you shouldn't eat them. You know, I did some research on this, on different definitions, I guess, on cannibalism. So, of course, we have our definition of cannibalism as eating your own species, right? I did a little bit of digging online, and it turns out Dungeons and Dragons has two kind of terms for cannibalism. A, eating your own species, but also eating another creature that's intelligent. You can thank Reddit user White Tempest 521 for that. I think it was his name. I'll put up the quotes here, I think. But yeah, those are the two definitions. That makes sense to me. You shouldn't eat another thing that's sentient, that you can talk to, hold a conversation with. So, what do people eat then? Well, we know for a fact there are meat slabs in the game. There are butchers everywhere. It's a medieval-ish setting after all. So we know they eat meat. And then we have to assume they eat meat of, well, animals like we do. Like us in the normal world. That's what they eat. Like cows, for example, or I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. And in that game, there is this example of, not bison, I forgot.
Afraid of them. Do not think on it further. Rest. I will see you safe.
Smart things. Tell you what. The problem arises with a really interesting spell that I think is rather underutilized, called Speak to Animals. Also very utilized in Baldur's Gate 3. And my first, my first run was with a druid in Baldur's Gate 3, which comes pretty naturally with Speak to Animals. Now that fucking spell, that changes the game, baby. So, remember that past thing we're talking about? Something, you shouldn't eat something that's intelligent and you should hold a conversation, that you can hold a conversation with. Well, now you can hold a conversation with beasts. God, there's a whole part in the Grove, in the start of Baldur's Gate 3, where you can talk to 3 different cows.
Grass. I have no more to say. Even old hay tastes better than your idle chatter.
And they hold a surprisingly good conversation. So what then? What then? I can hold a conversation with these things, and the problem arises when there's 2 people. I'm having a full-blown conversation about philosophy with this bison-looking thing, and my friend is holding a conversation with his friend about eating said thing, bison-looking thing. That doesn't really seem good to me, you know? Let me actually read you the description of the spell that I'm talking to. Here it goes, right? You gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for the duration. The knowledge and awareness of many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations and monsters, including whatever they can perceive or have perceived within the past day. You might be able to persuade a beast to perform a small favor for you at the DM's discretion. So, a lot of this always comes down to DM, of course. But you gain the ability to talk to them. You don't give them the ability to talk. You just understand what they want said. Which is in itself kind of fucked up, isn't it? Like, if it was me giving them more intelligence, and you can make the argument that, yeah, these are still beasts, you shouldn't feel too bad about eating them. But since they're always just talking with each other, and I just decided to, with magic, learn how to talk back, then who's really the dumb one? Probably them. But my point is, they're intelligent. Even if there's a stat that says they're dumb, you can hold a conversation with them. And I, myself, feel a bit unsure about eating said things I can talk to. Now, we can bring this into the real world if we want to, right? Like, in the real world, we have vegetarians, have vegans, we have pescatarians, we have all that kind of stuff, right? And, like, I myself, I eat meat. So I'm not trying to cast judgment on anyone like that. But I do think there is a distinction between an animal and something we can just fucking talk to. So if you go back to that description of cannibalism that we talked about earlier, about White Tempest 521, my understanding is that when it comes to what cannibalism is, we should look to intelligence. What's smart? What's dumb? What's not considered sentient, right? So when I hold my conversations with these animals, do I need to be testing them for fucking intelligence? Should I be giving them math problems? Should I be asking them about psychological conundrums or philosophy to test out how dumb they are? Like, I haven't been doing that. Now I feel kind of bad. You know what I mean? With this, I feel like you probably shouldn't be eating beasts. You can talk to them, you can hold a conversation with them. You should probably not be eating them. You should probably not be eating other species as well. Leave those orcs alone. I'm looking at you, Kevin. Fucking weirdo. And also, leave your own species alone. That's pretty obvious. Most of you know that. I hope. But what about And let me really bring this up because I think people, well, this is kind of a hot a hot topic. Let me bring up monsters, yeah? If we look at those criteria, right? Intelligence and if we can speak to them. Monsters are usually, there are some exceptions, mainly kobolds, like I mentioned before, but usually they're pretty dumb, and usually you can't speak to them. They fit both of those. I would like to suggest a third criteria, though, for what is allowed and not allowed to eat, which is public perception. And I think that's what most of this comes down to anyways, public perception in your setting, right? Determined by the DM, determined by the area for which you're playing. And monsters, to my knowledge, there's nothing in the source books, like the main one, Forgotten Realms, right? That says you should or shouldn't eat monsters. They don't condone it and they don't condemn it. To my knowledge, I could be wrong about that. But, so, it probably comes down to what your DM thinks about it, right? And most people, I don't think most people think about it, but there are some. Like, if you just browse the internet, like, there are a lot of people discussing how would this monster taste like? What do dragons taste like? What do mimics taste like? Which is honestly a really good question. But, regardless, they fit those two criterias, and maybe or maybe not that third criteria. But honestly, fuck that third criteria. That third criteria is made to be broken, made to be changed. So yeah. And to my knowledge, there is no fucking spell called Speak to Monsters, which means you can't talk to them. You can't feel bad. And also, fourth criteria, because I remember having a similar debate with a friend a few years back. That debate was about what animals or what mythical beasts was I cool with eating. And I usually referred back to, if that mythical beast is actively trying to consume me, actively trying to devour me, then yeah, I don't feel two shits about eating that guy. Fuck that guy. He's trying to eat me, I'm gonna eat you. Now, granted, that mentality in itself is just pretty deranged. Like, imagine you deciding, hey, you know what? Jeffrey Dahmer, he tried to eat me. Let me just eat that guy. No! That's still a dude. That's still cannibalism. Don't do cannibalism, kids. So yeah, maybe not in itself. But I do believe that mentality just help in that whole morality spectrum of, is it cool to eat this thing, right? So if it's a thing that can't really talk to, it's pretty dumb, is public perception not outright evil, like, you know, eating a dog, or it is actively trying to eat you, then I say go for it. Fucking eat it. Alright, that motherfucker is begging to be eaten. I mean, speaking of eating animals, there's a whole show dedicated to it, right? I mean, most of you guys know this, clicked on this video, right? Dungeon Meshi. But the general plot is a group of adventurers go down into a dungeon and then realize, hey, we don't have nearly enough food for this. And so by happenstance, they meet this intelligent, this amazing cook, this chef, this dwarf with an impressive mustache. And then they just decide to eat all the monsters. That's the premise. In the beginning, the adventurers struggle a little bit with this, but eventually they come around. Because it's so fucking delicious. And I think eating monsters could be quite delicious. People snob at it, but I think it could be done. But in the end, all of this is just values, right? It all comes down to person to person, the kind of character you're playing, the setting, the DM, and the general area that you're playing in. Like all of these different things. Probably a bunch more as well. And I can't tell you like what you should or shouldn't eat. And, fuck that! Eat monsters! Eat them all! Eat them!